So if we look a little more deeply into identification, we obviously want to know when a situation like this occurs where we have a pipe going through a structural member or a duct. Typically, there's really three areas or three types of systems to consider in the modeling effort. So your structural system, where are you getting your structural steel and your concrete from? Maybe it's from the design engineer. It could be maybe from the fabrication company. Again, maybe you're doing it yourself. One thing that we know is if you are building either the architectural or the MEP, it is really very helpful to have the structural in the model. We found it to be counterproductive to try to build the MEP or the architectural without the structural for reference. And of course, you want to develop the model all trades, or as I said, assemble the models and then begin to look at how they fit together, forming the beginning of the constructability analysis. One thing that you'll see today that we think is very handy for clients is this constructability marker. So this is a special object that tells you that there is something to look at in this space. This can be manually associated with an area perhaps where there isn't a physical clash, but you do want to call attention to that space because you know there's an issue there regarding spatial problems, or you just want it there to highlight an existing clash. So we'll see those today. Qualifying the issues. So again, back to modeling. You need to have a plan to model. We typically call that a content plan, and a content plan helps you to organize your model or your models in many cases in terms of layering, families, marks, names for the objects, levels of detail, etc. So that's a very handy place to start, and that later makes walking through the collisions and the clashes much easier. Then, of course, you'll want a great report. We'll show you that today. In the past, in the older Vico product, constructability reports were manually assembled from the information created during the model construction, the drawing review, as well as clash detection. What Vico Office has that is really exciting is an ability to automate this process and allow you to generate a report after you perform the clash detection and analysis. And then, of course, you need to get the team assembled and bought in to the coordination process itself, whether it's out in the trailer after construction begins or it's in pre-construction and you're trying to do a lot of validation of the design or a part of the design. We'll talk about that in some of our examples later. And then in documentation, you want to have several things. You certainly want to have a severity. You want to have a status. You want to have other identifying marks to help move between a clash, a constructability issue, and an RFI. And what you'll see today is that Vico Office Constructability Manager automates that process of moving from I found a clash that I either wish to pay attention to or ignore. I have a constructability issue. What's its severity? What do I want to do with it? And then I have something that is really pressing, and I need to generate an RFI. Using the 3D model and the snapshots from the clash detection process allows you to really quickly look at the issues and understand exactly what to do when you have the team assembled. So reviewing the issues with a model becomes a lot easier. Finally, as you begin to resolve things, you want to make sure that your models get updated. So as you work through a report, let's say you're in a conference room, you've got your constructability report on one projector, you've got your three-dimensional clash model with all the systems on the other projector, and as the team makes decisions about how to resolve things, you want to then make sure that the person responsible for that model is going to get it updated for you. and thus you want to manage that change and have statuses. So we'll walk you through how you mark something complete when it has been flagged as either an issue or an RFI. And then finally beginning to verify as the project approaches construction, or as the new part of the building approaches construction. You want to be able to get sign-off that the things that you've worked together to resolve have everybody signed off, so you have a coordination meeting to make sure that that works for all involved and it doesn't interfere with something else. Finally, a last concept that you may not be using today is called build to design. Those of you who are Trimble customers may be familiar with their robotic total stations and some of their other field automation equipment. And really what you can do at this point, since you have a model that's highly accurate, is to use points from the model like these constructability markers, or to use the center line of ductwork, or to use the edges of slabs, and mark those spots and then transfer that information as a layout with X, Y, and Z based on your site survey, and put a station in the field that can then verify that installation is going according to plan. You may remember if you were on our webinar last week with ISAT, this is the same technique that allows you to place inserts into formwork prior to pouring for hangers and bracing. Basically, it's moving 3D onto the site. Okay, now I just want to take a quick walk through the application so that you'll be familiar with what you'll see when Aaron begins the demonstration. Remember, Vico Office is a full suite that can deal with 2D information, 3D models, 4D flow line scheduling and the simulation and management of those schedules, as well as all the 5D elements of quantity, cost, and target, cost planning and target costing. And if you look at my little shamrock here, you'll see that the constructability is what we're going to focus on today, but this is a graphic of Vico Office that shows you kind of how the office is organized and how you manage information inside. Again, all of the information comes from the same project, so you're able to really reuse all of your knowledge about these models for many applications. Just a quick rundown of the current version of the Office, supporting Revit, Tekla, our own constructor, ArchiCAD 12, and you'll see here 13, various estimating and scheduling systems, CAD Duct, the MEP modeling software, the ability to import Excel, and we'll show that in another webinar, and if you haven't seen that, you can also look on our website. And then support for IFC, so an IFC import, and of course 64-bit for those super large projects that we're starting to see more and more of. Again, today we're going to focus on this part of Vico Office, Constructability Manager, but again, you're in a single user interface, everything's the same, and you'll see as Aaron clicks through that it's really quite an easy application to use. Today we're going to use the reporting engine to be able to generate reports both on constructability issues and their status, as well as RFIs, as they may go to different people. So just this is kind of a summary. We'll talk about this again at the end, but basically you're all in one place, an integrated workflow, and hopefully very easy to use, and hopefully you'll see that today. Just to get you familiar, this is the Clash Settings menu. This is where you prepare to tell the system what you wish to clash. So, for example, you may want to pick mechanical, electrical, and plumbing elements on this side and clash them with all of the remaining building elements, or you may just want to clash gravity piping with slabs, and so you'd place gravity piping on the left and slabs, concrete slabs on the right.